A digital series pioneer is in the building, and he just landed in Los Angeles, and we're going to get real today. Anthony Anderson of Anacostia is next. You know, I do music too on the side. Welcome, you guys. What you're hearing is one of my songs called Questions and Answers. You can go to my SoundCloud page and hear that, of course. It's all about questions and answers and dreams and hopes and feelings. Hi, I'm James Lott Jr. Welcome to Breaking Into here on Black Hollywood Live. I'm so glad to be here on another wonderful day with you guys here from Los Angeles, California. You know, longevity, growth, quality entertainment, black folks in lead roles, and doing it for yourself. This person completely embodies all of that with his show Anacostia. 10 years, the OGs, the digital series world. Started out as a web series, now it's a digital series. And I'm happy to have its creator, producer, director, writer, and he also stars on it too when he gets to do enough hats in his life. Mr. Anthony Anderson.
Hey. Let me find out you's a singer. He's a singer.
Yes, I do
Let me
music.
find out you're a singer.
I'm working on my third album right now. So
All
yes.
right now,
Yeah.
I have to get all three.
Yes, you have to get them. So yes.
Come on, questions and answers.
I'm going to do that today, Anthony. All right,
Hey.
I have some questions. I have questions for you. Give me some answers.
All right now.
But before we do all that, go ahead and follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube under Black Hollywood Live Breaking Into. I have 3.5 years worth of episodes on there that you're going to really enjoy.
Wow.
Some great guests. And I love doing the show. Go there. While you're there, there's usually a button somewhere near it, like a subscribe button or follow or like. Whatever it says, do it. So you can know what's going on when new shows come out. And also to watch the older ones. Go back and look at see some people. I've interviewed people like Patrice Lovely from the Medea movies, to Shabadoo Quinones from the Breaking movies in the 80s. I've interviewed Tony Basil, who did Mickey. I mean, I've interviewed all kinds of people. Okay, exactly. You're so fun. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody.
Yes, she was great. She's a great guest. She had a lot of dish.
Dated myself.
Well, I date myself all the time on the show. And speaking of that, so I was going to tell you guys, May 13th, I'm doing my 50th birthday celebration.
Wow.
So I'm going to have a panel of people here from past guests. I'm going to have them on. We're going to talk about age in Hollywood.
Oh. That's going to be an interesting show. Like, are you going to have liquor here too?
Possibly.
Okay.
And men and women, and we're going to celebrate me.
Okay. Hey. Okay. Oprah.
Yes.
Like,
So, of course.
old magazine.
I'm Bropra. I'm a male. And so, but you want to know more about that, go to the Facebook page and like that page. It's called Breaking Into. It's really simple. It's there. And follow that page. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm finally glad to be
I
here.
know.
I've seen so many guests on your show. It's like, when am I going to be on the show?
Yeah.
When am I going to be on Black Hollywood Live?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm black and I'm on the East Coast, but I'm always live.
Yeah.
So
That's true,
when am I
kids.
going to be on Black Hollywood Live? But I have to say, I've been following your progress. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Truly.
It's not. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's not been easy. As you know, when you get a little older, it takes a little harder to get rid of some pounds and stuff. But I have come through a lot in the last year. So
That's wonderful.
Thank you. It's been, and it makes me appreciate doing the show even more and talking to people, and because I had things taken away from me, and now I'm back.
There you go. There
back.
you go. You're gonna be doing thirst traps by summer.
My two-piece bikini. I'm getting ready for that. I'm getting there. But I've lost, just for anybody out there, this is not easy to do. I've lost 65 pounds in 14 months.
Wow.
So I'm still losing more. I'm just gonna lose like another 20 or so. But I'm like, there's no two-piece bikinis for real. But it's not easy, and it's about. I'm going to shout this to the rooftops. Manage your health. Manage your health. Manage your health. If you don't have good health, nothing else even matters.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And sadly, we, especially African American men and men in general, don't go to the doctor. We start coughing, we go get some cough medicine from across the counter,
Yes.
and next thing you know, a couple of years later, is something serious that could have been prevented if you just went and had it diagnosed early.
We do, and that's. I'm glad you brought that up. We, especially as Black people, we need to go to the doctor. I know it's not. You don't want to do it. I know. Especially my old Black folks. I'm not going to the doctor. I got some witch hazel over here or something. I'll just rub it on my elbow.
Got
And I'm
some
like
turpentine and herbs.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'll just eat some fried food for a week and I'll be fine. No, that's not how that works. Go to the doctor. Get checked out. It's very important.
Eat some fried okra.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that sounds good right now. Actually, let me started. Hello, everybody who's watching in the chat room. Say hi to Joseph Goncalves.
Hey, Joseph.
He says yes.
Joseph does a great show called Unconditional Love.
Hello.
He does a great show called Unconditional Love. He's one of these rare pioneers of color that is doing actual scripted series that's not stereotypical.
Joseph, contact me. Hello.
Hello, Joseph. Contact
me. I want to talk to you.
You two could be on Black Hollywood.
Or something. I don't know, just contact me. Let me know what's going on. Okay, so first of all, congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you.
10 years.
Yeah.
That's I mentioned in the beginning, that's longevity. I mean, that's like to create something and keep it going. I mean, on your own.
Say that again. On your own. No studio backing.
No studio backing.
No
like
big
that.
stars.
Nope.
Tweeting out the links, anything else. On our own. Word of mouth. A great fan base. Great story. Just a great overall product, and that's why I got involved in this business in the first place, because I wanted to create a show that had people that looked like me that I didn't see on mainstream television. And it just so happened that it found this niche and found this audience, and we've been going since 2009.
Tell people kind of like a brief overview of because the series, every season is of course something different. The story's different, but what's the overview of Anacostia?
Well, the story, the basic synopsis of it is four friends who live in a community in Washington D.C. It's a real life community. It's called Anacostia. It is a real life community. If you Google it, be careful. But I'm
going to show you some pictures over the years.
Yeah, but it's changing. And it deals with Sean, Mia, Selena, and Nicole, and basically what goes on in their life in the neighborhood and the community in Anacostia as a whole. Is basically it's a throwback to the nighttime dramas of old, like Dynasty and Knots Landing, just with black people.
Yes.
Just with like African Americans. So yeah.
Since network TV won't do that. Oh, wait, now I do want to make. We're showing some pictures over the years. We showed some pictures over the years.
Oh, yeah.
There was one show that was pioneer, and I not to mention this because one of the guests in the show was here, James Reynolds. Generations back in 1991, they started Generations, which was an interracial. It was like one black family, one white family. Now we got haves and have-nots on that now, but back then it was ahead of its time. But you're right, there weren't many black folks in lead roles, on soaps.
No.
And so digital series are places that have to do. You know, we've seen. I'm looking at these posters. I'm looking. There's all these beautiful brown faces.
Yeah, those are my babies.
I mean, it's just beautiful.
Those are my babies. I mean, it's hard to believe, like, we can't even put it into words, like, when we start thinking about 10 years. So we pretty much equate it to marriages and kids.
Yes.
Like, when we first started, people were single and didn't have kids, but now 10 years later, you're married, you're on your second kid.
Yes.
Your
Second marriage.
Second marriage for some.
Yes.
Kids about to go to high school and everything else. So it's like we grew up together and we have become a family, and I think the bond that we share off screen, people can see the chemistry on screen, and I think that's what's great.
Now I want to have you. Can you show the one picture of me at the Emmys with two ladies? I had the honor and the pleasure, I can't even tell you.
Wow.
The honor to talk to Elizabeth Hubbard and Martha Byrne. I've been fans of them since As the World Turns, when she was Lillian Rose, and of course Lucinda.
Yes.
To New York. I mean, we had a great conversation. I was much heavier than I look at myself. I look so much bigger than. They were lovely. They were walking down the red carpet. I said Lily and Lucinda, and I started laughing. I said, I'm just kidding. I said Elizabeth and Martha, come over, and they came over and they were so gracious. They talked to me.
They are amazing. Martha Byrne. I met Martha, I met Martha like 7 years ago, and she was hosting an award show in New York, and she was the host. And she just in passing said, I've seen your show. I like what you've done.
Wow.
And to me, I grew up like idolizing her.
Right.
And for her to say that to me, she said, if you ever think about creating a role for me, I would love to come to DC and do it. And I never thought in a million years that she was serious.
Right.
And we were on a project in LA later that year, and we were standing at craft services table, and she walked over to me And she said, "Hey, I'm serious. I want to do your show."
Wow.
And she said, "Give me your number. I'm going to call you when we get back on the East Coast." And she called me when she got back at 5 o'clock. She said, "What do you have for me?" I told her the role. She said, "I love it. When do you want me to come and shoot it?" I was like, "Oh my God, Martha Burns is going to come and do the show." And I told everyone on the show, and they were all like, "Stop lying."
You're right,
I was
right.
like, "No, she's coming to do the show."
Two-time Emmy, at that point, two-time Emmy winner.
She's coming to do the show. And let me tell you something. When you have expectations of sometimes you can have expectations of someone that you idolize, and you meet them, and the expectation just
yes,
so
right.
oh my God.
Right.
And then you meet someone who you had expectations, and they supersede your expectations of them. Martha has been, I can't even really put into words what she's been to me, to the show. She's been an inspiration, because I think people look at this show in two ways. They look at it before Martha came on, and then they look at it after Martha came on, because after Martha came on, everyone was like, "Hey, look, we need to step our game up," like around her, because no one wanted to embarrass her.
Right.
And no one wanted to embarrass her with her colleagues and everything else. And so everyone took it so seriously. And the very first day she shot, everyone came to set that day just to sit and watch and observe. And she answered questions about character development and motivation, and people took it to heart. And then when she suggested Elizabeth Hubbard,
Hello.
I said, "Are you kidding?
I mean,
Will she do it?" She said, "Yeah, I already talked to her. She said she'll do it."
daytime legend.
And I mean, we shot those scenes at her house.
Oh, okay, know that. Okay.
We shot those scenes on location in Connecticut at her house. Beautiful spirit, beautiful woman.
Yeah, she's nice.
Consummate professional. When I pulled up, she was outside blocking herself. She was walking.
wow.
She was walking through her first scene. She was like, even before the crew got there, she was out there marking it out. So when Martha won her third Emmy for this show, I almost passed out.
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, it's her.
Yeah.
I mean, like we're talking again, legend. She was on The Doctor. She's a legend. I mean, she's just, and then Jennifer Bassey, my buddy.
Yes.
Who's just who's a hoot and a holler. First of all, a hoot and a holler. I'm being nice, because I mean she's a great broad in a great sense of the word.
Jennifer came in the day of the set, like she had been there for 5 years, talking to everybody, like, "Hey, how's it going? What are we doing today? I'm so excited."
Nice. She's so nice,
and she just knocked it out. But I think that something that Martha said that makes her continuously want to come back is that we run the show and we run the set, even though it's a digital series and it's not brimming over with dollars and a big budget, but we run the set so well, and we have such a respect for our guest stars that we make sure that we accommodate them, and when they come in, that you want to come back. Like it's not a feeling of you getting there like, "What in the world have I gotten myself into?" You want to come back, and I'm so grateful that people who do the show always want to come back and do more.
Well, that's the whole point. Anything you do, you should have the highest level of professionalism, first of all.
Absolutely.
And you should believe in your product, number two. But number three, you should make people want to go where they want to go. They're busy. They got things going on. They don't want to waste their time.
Absolutely. You want to get them in and out, and that's our thing with our guest stars. We want to get them in, we want to get them out. So it's definitely been it's been a pleasure. Anytime someone of that caliber wants to come and do this show and work on the show that I created, I'd sort of like sit back and think, everything that I've done on the show has been designed by a higher power. Everything that I've done,
divine intervention,
has been through God's divine. I'm just a vessel for what He wants me to do, and I just sit back and say, "God, have Your will with me. Whatever You want me to do, I'm going to do it." And I think that's how we've been able to sustain the show for so long, for 10 years. Like 10 years ago, the majority of the people that we came out with are no longer here.
Right.
And like, we're still here, still making great product. We're still getting a great fan base. We just got nominated for our 6th Emmy last week. So it's a blessing, and I have to thank the fans that have been so loyal to the show.
Well, I remember I found you, and that's why I came to you too, because I saw the show and I found you. That's like a couple of years ago at this point, and I found you, and like I said, we're finally getting together.
Finally.
But now you're my orbit, so you're not going. You're not going anywhere. And maybe I'll get a little walk-on role one day.
Come on.
I'll come back to I'll come to Anacostia.
We are famous for the walk-ons. We famous for the walk-ons. They walk on.
Exactly right. Exactly. Now I have to ask, just on a side note. You share your name with a particular African American actor out there who's been around for a while. What is that? I mean, do you have any get like weird mail or confusing email? Like, is there anything?
Fortunately, not.
Okay.
Fortunately, not. It's just usually when I'm like making reservations for someplace or something like that, and someone says, "Hey, ha ha ha, do you have the same name as Anthony Anderson?" I'm like, "Yes, I know. I've heard it. I've not had a problem with it so far with like SAG or
I'm gonna ask you that too,
anything else. Haven't had like a really big issue with it yet.
Like Vanessa L. Williams, Mr. Williams, right?
But what you see is what you get. It is Anthony Anderson. It's no middle initial. It's no anything. And we are a long way from roots. So you will not be demanding me to change my name to something else.
Okay, Toby.
That won't happen.
Yes. Candace Mack, my girl who's back there in Maryland.
Candace.
She's on. We love Candace.
I love Candace. She's a huge supporter.
I know she is, and she's like one of my siblings out there on the East Coast. Now. Did you ever watch soaps growing up, and which ones were the ones that you kind of gravitated towards?
Of course, the first soap. My introduction to soap came through General Hospital, and I was a kid, homesick. Mom stayed homesick. Was watching General Hospital, and this was the episode with Diana Taylor was laying dead in the kitchen. She had just been shot, and crazy Heather Weber was dressed in a nurse's outfit. She had just allegedly shot her, and I was so. Even as a kid, I was so involved in the story that the next day I felt better but faked sick so I could see what happened next. And that started me watching General Hospital, and then The Young and the Restless, and then Another World, and then everything else. And then I stumbled across Martha Byrne, and I was like, she's so pretty. And then she had the love triangle with Dusty and
Holden.
With Dusty and Holden. And I was just like, oh my God, like where is this? And the mother was the cousin was the mother. I was like, oh, what is this?
Yes.
And then it just bled over into nighttime soap. And I just felt that I like it was escapism, especially living in DC. It was like a lot of drug violence and stuff like that. So your parents really didn't let you outside. So you stayed inside, and by the time you came home from school, you would catch the last like 30 minutes of General Hospital. So you wouldn't catch anything else unless you faked sick.
And I grew up in South Central Los Angeles back in the 70s and 80s, so I know all that stuff. We did stay inside a lot. And for us out of school, we would see General Hospital, and it was Edge of Night. And Santa Barbara. Those are the ones that came on later.
Cruising Eden.
I know. I met A. Martinez. He's one of the nicest, most soulful people you will ever meet. When he talks to you, he's talking to you inside. He's talking to your soul when he talks to you.
See.
Yes.
He does hypnosis.
Yes, I guess so. Because I was like, whatever you say, A.
You gotta watch him.
Oh, Candace Mack says, I'm waiting for my walk-on role to you.
Hey, come on, Candace.
She's back there already, so she's already in the area.
Come on, Candace.
Come on, Candace, you can do that. But because I know for you, okay, so we mentioned Young and Restless, of course. We lost someone really very important, to me, very important in the soap community, and we're on Black Hollywood Live, Christophe St. John.
Yes.
And I knew him, of course, and I've already talked about him on the show and stuff. But it's rare to have strong black men on regular soaps. So for your shows, you have the gamut of villains, strong men. So how important was that for you to showcase that on your show?
Well, it was important because just like you said, it's very rare to see a strong African American role model on television, and for many of us, Christophe was that. Like even seeing him mature from a little kid actor, and growing up. The first time I ever saw him was on the episode of Wonder Woman when they were when Roy Rogers was the guest actor. He had these adopted kids, and Christophe was one of them.
Aging yourself.
Yeah. See,
yes.
And
this show does that.
When I created the show, I wanted to keep in mind that I wanted men to be strong men, whether they were portraying good characters or bad characters. I wanted the women to be strong and bold and embodied with confidence.
Yeah.
And I think with Mia, starting out with Mia, she had this husband that treated her so bad, but I think what I did with her over the years, you start seeing her gain that confidence
growth.
to where she is now.
Yeah, right.
And that's just real life. When you start having self-worth of yourself, you can then stand on your own and say, this is not right. How you're treating me is not right. And I just wanted to create characters that I really didn't see on television. And also the characters that were on television, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth. The characters were that were on television were African Americans that were either illiterate or the product of a interracial relationship where the Caucasian husband slept with a black woman and then went off, and the black woman raised his kid by herself, and then the kid grew up and found out that I have a Caucasian daddy, then comes to town and ruins everything, and then it's like, you're my daddy. And I just knew that was not who we were as a people.
And also your show, you also break that whole myth of, well, there's only one or two white actors in an all-black cast. Is that weird? Like, how they feel? Like, they don't care. It's the universe is just we're used to seeing that.
Right.
That's all.
Right. And that was one of the main things that Martha had said when she first came on the show. She said, "This is your parade. I'm just a marcher in it." And I think that when you have someone like that who doesn't want to come and take over and make it their thing, it just makes you work. It makes everyone still work as a family.
Yeah.
It makes everyone, because you see some shows where they have a guest star come on and they make the show about the guest star, and you forget about the people that actually helped you in the trenches grind and build this show. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I will never ever do. Like, every last one of those actors that have stood next to me when we ate donuts for lunch and orange drink from 7-Eleven for lunch 10 years ago are still there and are still working, and it's because of the environment that we provide to them.
One of the reasons why I'm on television is in the chat room. His name is Tony Moore. Bouncing with Tony. He started the soap block here on Anacostia TV. He's a black man who's from South Carolina, I think that's correct, came here. And
my mom's from South Carolina.
So there you go. And he started a show called Audition Days, which is the Days of Our Lives after show here. Really? It's still going strong. 4 years going strong, yeah.
Okay.
But again, black people are doing it for themselves.
And the sad thing is we don't get the coverage that we deserve to get. And that's always been, that has probably been, out of the 10 years that I've been doing the show, that's probably been one of my main gripes, is that we don't get the support that our Caucasian counterparts get.
Well, I was going to ask you, was it at first, though, the whole web series, digital series kind of bias at first?
Well,
and then of course, the color thing is there, too. But I always wonder also, is there a bias towards that back in the day?
No, I don't think so, because some of the shows that were labeled as web series that had Caucasian cast on it still got that exposure in some of the magazines, and when we send an email to the editor saying, hey, look at what we're doing over here, we are like actually doing like something that like no one has like really seen yet. Even when we got nominated, like we were the first African American web series to be nominated for a daytime Emmy, and so and no one talked about it.
Wait a minute. And let me mention, he, Mr. Man over here, was the first African American to be nominated for a lead actor role in a digital drama, daytime drama series. Hello.
But of course, once again, it's not covered.
Well, and like we were saying off camera, James Reynolds won for Best Actor, first person to win in like 40 years, yet there's been no lead female black actors winning Best Actress. In daytime drama,
it's still like I think they're still trying to catch up. It's not even only the date. It's not even only the daytime. It's the prime time. It's like it's 2019, and we're still talking about the first.
Right.
Viola Davis is the first,
and then Regina King, of course, is doing
it's
stuff.
Like, we're still talking about the first. It's 2019, and it's about time that we start getting invited to the party a little bit more often.
Because Tony and I talk about this all the time, and we're like, "Oh, how'd you meet a Joe?" Some people in here. We're kind of tired of this whole thing of, well, they're black, they're other. So no one's gonna read the magazines, or no one's gonna click on the clicks. I'm like, they are. It's like it's. I mean, what is it? Why is our color, and not just Latino or Indian or whatever? Like, if we're not the main color, so to speak, we don't get the kind of.
Well, it's true, and the sad thing is, I had a Caucasian colleague who does another web show say to me that, hey, you know that if your show had more Caucasian white people on it, that your show would probably have like 6 or 7 Emmys by now. And I think that statement in itself just basically says where we are, unfortunately, and it shouldn't have to do it doesn't always have to do with the color of your skin, but in a lot of cases, unfortunately, we're made to feel that way, and it should be about the work that's on the screen. It should be about the work that is presented, not about the people who are doing it. And I'm hoping that one day it doesn't. I'm hoping that one day that doesn't be the situation where we're worried about the color of the actor or the actress. We're worried about the product and the story that we're telling. And I feel like at Anacostia, we tell great story.
You do. And not this whole this urban thing. I'm tired of that kind of like, oh, they're brown, so it must be an urban thing. They dismiss it.
Right. We are a digital series just like everybody else's series. We are a digital series. We are not an urban digital series. I don't even know what that is.
Right, whatever that means. We know what urban means.
Yeah, we know what urban means, but that's not my show. Yeah. And we had to fight that stigma for at least the first 3 years, because every time someone did write up, they would say this urban series or this urban show. It's not an urban show. Right. It is a drama. It's an online drama series.
Now, Tony says allegedly that's the reason why Logo's Noah's Ark was canceled. The network wanted them to add more Caucasian characters, and Patrick Ian Polk wasn't having it.
I don't doubt it.
I don't doubt either.
When you have a network that has a show like that was actually, it's not like the show was losing viewership.
No, it wasn't at all.
It's not like the show was losing viewership. The show had a following.
It did.
The show had a great following, and then all of a sudden they just sort of like 86.
They did a movie later or whatever.
Yeah,
and that was it. Yeah.
But now they put all the episodes on YouTube for people to see and for them to make revenue, because God knows we can make people money.
Yes, black folks can make people money.
We can make your money. You just don't want to put us in your magazine.
Right. It's just so weird to me. It's so weird to me. Like, we don't put a black person on the cover because then it becomes a black magazine or something. Like, what is that? White folks get repelled from taking up. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we have to be hired. We have to be put in those positions. And if we are not put in those positions, we have to go and start creating things ourselves, like Black Hollywood Live.
Yes.
Hello.
And like Tony says, the important thing is, unfortunately, many networks don't see dollars in blacks. Black characters. And it's just kind of crazy, because to me, again, I don't think it's the audience. I think it's the network people. It's not the audience. The audience will see if it's something good, they'll watch it.
No, but also what I found out that what people neglect to talk about is that non-African Americans are some of the biggest fans of African American shows.
Right.
Because they love the storytelling. They love the characters. They love the arcs. And that's not talked about.
No.
That's not talked about, and it's unfortunate.
Let's talk about the Emmys, shall we? Because actually, I mean, Martha won an Emmy, of course, for the show, and Elizabeth Hubbard was nominated for an Emmy for the show, and you were too. Yeah, and I mean, so it's nice. You got some over the years. There was some recognition, of course. And then last year, everybody, get your tea ready. Get your tea. Don't spill it. Don't burn your lips. Because I want to talk because I'm, again, I make my disclaimer is I'm kind of know everybody involved, and so I'm just so pressed. I'm just asking questions. That's all I'm doing. But there was a controversy because it wasn't clear in the rules last year, and so basically there was a discrepancy over an Emmy win. But it went back to the Emmy nomination process and what the rules were. It was very kind of murky.
Yes.
Can you kind of explain what the murky part was for people?
Well, basically, the category was the guest digital performer. And basically, the rule said, well, there were two rules that I guess everyone overlooked. Was that one, your person could only have been in, if they had been in the previous season, they could not be eligible for that particular year. So that was one. The second one was that they were only allowed to submit one episode, like one episode. That's all they were supposed to be able to submit. However, when reading the rules, all of the other acting categories were listed prior to that, and they all said the same thing. You could have up to 20 minutes. It could be up to four, like it could be up to 4 episodes. And so reading actor, actress, supporting actor, supporting actress, you automatically start thinking that all of the acting categories are the same. And so we submitted Jennifer Bassey. She had 2 scenes. The second scene, she only said like 11 words. So there was this whole mishigosh.
So let's go step by step. So you submitted her. She gets nominated.
She gets nominated. She goes to the ceremony.
Right.
And the Emmy goes to Patrika Darbo,
who is a friend of mine also.
Yeah, I love her.
And we love Patrika's like, she's a hoot and holler too.
Right. It goes to Patrika Darbo. And then right after that, there is some murmuring from another creator that had discovered the rule that Patrika had been on her show in a previous season.
Yes.
And I guess sort of contacted the Academy. The Academy looked into it and determined that they were going to
revoke her Emmy.
Revoke her Emmy. And so when they revoked her Emmy, it went to the second person, which was Jennifer Bassey of Anacostia.
Yes.
So we got a phone call basically saying that, hey, this is what's happening, and Jennifer Bassey is the winner. I will never forget it. It was a Friday before the Memorial Day Monday.
Yes.
And they said, look, don't say anything because we're going to wait till Tuesday to put out a press release, but you can call Jennifer and let her know. So I called Jennifer and let her know. Of course, she was happy because she's overdue.
Yes.
She was overdue.
Yes.
Happy. And then...
and
then about 3 hours later,
yes.
I get a phone call from another creator who sort of was the spearhead of this, that said, hey, I heard that they took the Emmy from Patrika and they were going to give it to Jennifer Bassey, but I want you to know that I called the Academy and turned her in, that she had an extra episode when she was supposedly only had one. Are you mad at me? And so I just couldn't talk at that moment. I was just like, I got to call you back.
Right.
And so I called the Academy myself and said, hey, what's going on? And they said, well, hey, this has been reported and we're looking into it, and it looks like we might not be able to give her the Emmy either. So I live by integrity. Yeah. And I wasn't going to go through that weekend knowing that this was going on and not let this woman know.
Right.
So I called her immediately, and I wish I didn't, because the way she broke down over me telling her this, I felt so low, and I didn't know, I wasn't equipped with what do you say to someone who was on the phone completely in, like, breaking down in tears.
Right.
And it was just like
heartbreaking.
It was like, I actually cried. I actually went home and cried myself. My whole weekend was constantly on the phone with the members of with the Academy reps, and just basically saying, like, look, what can we do? How can we resolve this? And they eventually settled on that they were not going to give the Emmy to Jennifer. They weren't going to give it to anyone.
So those 3 didn't get it either. Those 3, I'm thinking the next person in line after that, then it should have,
Right. So I mean, that whole situation, it caused a lot of animosity between everybody.
Yeah, well, I know.
Everybody.
Oh, I know.
It caused animosity between everybody. Like, people just started.
Yes.
People just
taking
started.
Sides.
People started
attacking,
taking sides. People started pointing. Like, people started pointing fingers.
Now, I do want to say, I want to say very loud that Patrika and Jennifer were very classy in their responses. Patrika was very classy in her response in person. I talked to them both separately, privately, but I saw online they were very classy with their responses. They held their heads up high. So I want to make sure that you know they weren't throwing tantrums in public and I mean they didn't do that at all.
Me personally, I wish cooler heads could have prevailed and everyone could have just. I felt like there were too many. I felt like there were too many hands in the pot.
Well, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, I always say.
It's too many cooks in the kitchen, and just when you're starting to make progress and maybe come to a respectable resolve in it, here comes someone else that's throwing other things into it, which at that point was none of their business. Like, stay in your lane, mind your business. You have let a bomb go off over here on my show and left me to clean it up. And I think I also want to clear up this misconception that this only happened to Anacostia and the Bay. That is not what happened. That is not the truth. Other shows misread the rule as well. Because of the time frame that they submitted, their programs got caught. Well, not got caught, but they were able to have a correction done. By the time we submitted, the Emmy board had got a barrage of submissions, so it slipped through the cracks. Wasn't no one trying to cheat. That's the one thing. I am a person of integrity. We don't need to cheat because we have great storyline. We work. So we don't need to cheat. We don't need to try to skirt our way into a win or anything else. And so it was a very dark time. And I have to say that looking back on it, it's unfortunate because I lost friendships because of that. Because I'm the type of friend like this. If you and I are having an issue, and you come to me and you say, "Hey, Anthony, I feel like this." If you and I are working on a job together, and I did something on the job that could potentially get me fired, and the bosses come in and get me and say, "Hey, we have to let you go." Then you come around and say, "Hey, by the way, I want to let you know that I was the one who said that." How do you think I'm going to look at you? You could have came to me as a friend, and we could have discussed this as a friend to see how can we work this out and how can we bring it together. Don't just let a bomb go off in my backyard and then you walk away from it with your hands held back, because then that just tells me that the friendship that I had with you wasn't one that was built on reciprocity.
It's funny you say it because I recently was left out of some thank yous of a show, but that person actually contacted me, and so it was an editing mistake, and it just kind of happened because everybody was listed, my name was listed anyway. And it's interesting, but he talked to me. He's like he sent me a private message. We talked it through, and you're right. I felt more I felt more like I can trust this guy. That what he's saying is true, and we talked it out. Anything
can be worked out with communication.
Yeah,
I think if you have communication, what I find very interesting is that it's Black Hollywood Live.
Black Hollywood Live. Get black.
What I find very interesting is that when you have and I don't want to turn this to a black-white thing, but I have to use the examples that I know. That when you are talking to your Caucasian colleagues, they feel as though it's okay for them to talk to you and vent about things that they feel are not right, things that they feel that were done to them, things that they feel like they were mistreated, and stuff like that. But then when it's reversed and you start saying how you feel about I was mistreated like this, it then turns into why am I complaining? Or you should have handled it this way. I'm a grown man. You cannot tell me how I should handle how I was mistreated.
Right.
And I found that to be very interesting. But something my mom always told me is always watch how a person treats other people, because one day you're going to be that other person.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of that last year with a lot of the finger pointing and a lot of the just the whole people get on everyone's a gangster when it comes to Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, yeah,
Everyone's a gangster when it comes to Facebook and Twitter until you have to be confronted with that person face to face.
Right.
And so it turned me off to like a lot of things. And I think has there been a backlash because I have always been one to speak my mind? Yeah. Yes, it's been a backlash. But you know, here's the thing. If I am not going to allow anyone to walk behind me and be mistreated because I saw something being done to me and I did not say anything about it. So I'm always going to speak up for me. Now, you don't have to like it.
Right.
You don't have to like it. If you aren't the one that's doing it, we don't have a problem.
Yeah, right. Not at all.
You don't have to like it. But you cannot tell me how I should handle a situation that happened to me. Because it happened to me.
Yeah. I think all of this is a greater lesson just in terms of how political the systems are still, even in digital world, in TV, everything. Just how it's political, it's racial. I'm sorry, it's racial in some ways.
Yeah.
It's also coastal. I mean, I'm sure there's that East Coast versus, you're not in Hollywood. I'm sure there's something in there. But also there's also that image of if you're like in the East Coast, you're more theatrical, more more serious. The West Coast is a little looser, and we're like, oh my god, totally, that kind of stuff. And there's a lot that goes on, and so this is a great lesson of that. Of just
yes,
all
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
But also the bigger picture is like I think you got someone like Joseph who does his show, and when they reach out to me because I have been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah,
and so when they reach out to me and they voice their frustration about how they feel like they were overlooked or how they feel like they were mistreated, or they have reached out to a certain publication that didn't reach back to them, but then they saw another show be featured in that magazine and stuff like that. And I have to tell them all the time, that's not your goal.
Right.
That's not your goal. Your goal is to create a great show.
Yes.
Because when you create a great show, the real press that want to cover you will come and cover you. For every magazine that has ignored us, there have been 3 to send an email saying, hey, we found out about your show and we want to write about your show. For every award that we have been overlooked for, we've won 3 awards right behind that. So
Suburban Digest, calling Suburban Digest, paging Suburban Digest.
So it's like you have to, at the end of the day, maintain your integrity, and you have to put that work into your show, because eventually the right people will see your show and they will recognize the talent that's in your show.
Yes, and that leads into you're starting your own awards series show.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit. This is the planning stages. So let's talk about that.
Yes, in the planning stages. It's called the Capital City Web Awards. It's going to be taking place in Washington, D.C. on August the 17th of this year. It's going to be celebrating the best and brightest online content from creators of color. And when I say creators of color, it's not just black people.
Right.
It's like creators. It's creators of color. It's not anti-white. It's not anti anything other than people of color. It is the best way to describe it is that a lot of these shows and a lot of these creators work so hard, and I've seen their shows. Like this year in particular, there was like 27 shows submitted for like the daytime Emmys.
Yes.
The majority of those shows were African American shows, and
yeah,
and
and
the situation is not every show was represented, and I feel as though harking back to what we talked about the daytime Emmys, there still not have been an African American woman of color to win lead actress yet, and we're going on 46 years.
Yep.
Jackie Harry is still the only African American woman to have won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy. Isabel Sanford is the only African American woman who has won leads, and The Jefferson was on in the 70s. So it's time that we start creating shows and creating opportunities for not only each other, but for the people that are coming up behind us. Because when I first started this show, there weren't that many people that looked like me that was doing shows.
Right.
So I had to do a lot by trial and error.
Yeah.
And not giving up.
Yeah, I can talk to you forever. Obviously, we can't do that. That's the show has to end. I mean, we have to just have to come back again at another time just to talk about more. But I mean, you're doing amazing work. So I found you, and I was like, I'm impressed. I saw you. I was like, I'm going to find you. Now, I asked my guests the same 2 questions at the very end. It's called 2 words. So here's the first one. Whatever comes to mind for you, it could be a word or a phrase.
Okay.
What word or phrase should we not say anymore in English language?
Can I say it?
Or you could bleep it. I mean, how you could say what do you want to say?
Well, my.
Oh, that.
My.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to say that anymore.
Yeah,
You got that.
yeah.
And what word should we say more of?
Love.
I like that. It's very underrated. I like
Love.
that. I like love.
Yeah.
I like love. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. And my birthday is tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
My birthday's tomorrow. So I'm
Happy
here
birthday.
for the Hollywood Festival.
Yes, festival, yes.
Hollywood Festival on Wednesday.
Yes.
Come out and check us out, 1 o'clock.
Yes. Now, tell also where you can find you in Anacostia. You're on Amazon also.
Yeah,
Tell
so
where
you can find Anacostia on Amazon. Seasons 4 and 5 are on Amazon. The rest of the seasons 1 through 3 will be joining them later on. But for seasons 1 and 3, you can find them on YouTube. For 4, 5, and 6, you can find them on Amazon. And once again, to all the fans, thank you guys for always supporting us. And to those content creators of color, keep creating. Your time is coming. Our time is coming. But don't give up.
Don't give up. And I want to thank you guys for watching the show. Guys, go ahead and share this with anybody who needs to hear this. Some great advice. If you hear this, share it with everybody out there. Black Hollywood Lives breaking into. I'm James Lott Jr. and I want to thank you all so much for watching us. We'll see you next time.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content. And be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.